Hello everyone, my name is Skylar Miller, and today I will be presenting a presentation based on Claude Monet, along with a breakdown of the various artistic techniques he used within one of his iconic pieces, in hopes of providing further insight on how he contributed to one of the most influential art movements in history, the Impressionism movement. Art has been displayed drastically different throughout the various art movements presented within the world's history. Contrasting elements and techniques have shaped the way society perceives pieces from each century, providing insight into political, personal, and social events that played a part during any given art movement. One of the most prominent movements throughout art history is the Impressionism movement, a period in art where the norms presented within previous art movements were being disregarded and artists were displaying a fresh style of change. Impressionists created articulate pieces that presented a lot of controversy for those viewing the piece, creating a sense of new techniques that led to many new artistic freedoms, enhancing originality in pieces without the desire to portray objects the way they were prior to this art movement. Impressionism changed the direction of art and created a new way of looking at a canvas within the mid 19th century, not only for outside viewers, but for the artists who created them. Impressionists portrayed various scenes within their work that depicted scenery that was not as realistic as it appeared in the natural world. Artists during this movement created pieces that made common scenery such as oceans and gardens appear differently than the actual subject itself. Tiny strokes along with vibrant colors that would normally not be associated with the given object being painted created extravagant pieces. This new style of art was extremely fresh and posed as a new concept that veered away from the techniques used during the Renaissance era. During the Renaissance movement, pieces were smooth and realistic looking, while the Impressionists created scenes of various subjects. Their pieces were constructed by using one simple element. They believed that light and color went hand in hand and desired to create pieces that displayed a sense of stillness within that single painting, leaving the meaning of the art piece up to the individual studying it. There are various Impressionists who helped to create such a vibrant art movement within the 19th century. Claude Monet was one of the founding fathers of the Impressionism movement and created many pieces that are still cherished today by individuals viewing his work in museums around the world. Monet was an extremely enthusiastic artist who went to great lengths to capture the various moments he experienced in nature. He was fascinated with the outside world and the effect light had on the movement of the objects he was painting. Monet wanted to display the various sceneries he studied in a way that was unnatural due to his mentality of the way color and light created unnatural colors in the outside world. He used many vibrant colors to depict the different ways that light hit the objects he painted depending on the time of day he was painting. With all of this detail in his pieces, he was able to construct a message to the individuals viewing his art regarding the concept of natural selection, making his works on nature create various intricate interpretations. Throughout Monet's artistic legacy, he has engaged various individuals by displaying the power that light has against the different hues that are present in nature. Monet created many pieces within his lifetime. One painting that truly shows the different elements presented throughout nature is called Pathway in Monet's Garden at Giverny. This piece depicts the various ways Monet displayed different colors on his property pertaining to the way the light was hitting the objects he was viewing during the creation of this piece. Presented within this work are many components that share the idea that Monet carefully displayed a depiction of his lavish garden by simply displaying different shades of color. One can see in this piece that Monet created many contrasting illusions for the individuals viewing this work. He breaks down the many characteristics of nature by creating an immersive experience for those who study the piece extensively. When studying any artwork, it is important to look at all the elements within the piece that the artist carefully put together. Every piece shares a story by displaying various components. One can carefully study the movement presented within the piece and use elements such as different paint strokes and contrasting figures to get the idea that the artist was intentionally creating a specific motion effect throughout the piece. Another element to carefully study when piecing together the purpose of any given work is by looking at the way the artist portrayed balance. By viewing the ways in which the artist brought together contrasting elements, one can see the way that the artist unified all the objects in the piece. An individual can also view the composition of the work and study the different shapes that the artist presented to display the full picture. One may also look at the colors to truly grasp the intention of the artist. In Monet's case, he uses many colors that are not always used when depicting nature to truly capture the idea of light throughout his impressionistic piece. He uses colors such as pinks and oranges against darker objects found in nature to truly capture his concept of color and light being equal. This type of component shares the way that the artist uses color and light, displaying the contrasting elements that enhance an individual's feelings when viewing the piece. Colors share the emotions painted within the canvas. And lastly, an individual might want to consider the atmosphere of the painting. This is where all these elements come together to form an intricate story, setting the mood for the canvas. Studying all of these components helps an individual connect with an artist's piece on a deeper level, creating an intimate connection between the viewer and the art. Starting with the concept of movement within a piece can enhance the work's ability to show motion throughout the canvas. This element provides an immersive experience for those who are viewing details, such as the direction in which the strokes are painted. Other elements, such as lighter tones, can also notion the idea that the artist intended to create movement by using light, being one of the main techniques used by the Impressionist. Movement throughout a work of art engages individuals to step inside the piece. In a painting, one may be able to gather information about the work, such as the weather and atmosphere of the scene. These context clues can be used towards analyzing any given piece. In Monet's case, movement throughout his pieces display the different ways in which nature behaves. Movement offers an intimate experience, creating a sense of change throughout the piece. Artists are limited by how many details they can include due to their canvas being two-dimensional. However, the attention they give towards the length and texture of each brushstroke indicates an intended motion. Movement truly brings the piece alive. Monet's pathway and Monet's garden at Giverny presents a lot of movement throughout the entirety of the canvas. One can start by examining the trees. The way in which the light tones are reflecting off the dark tones against the leaves creates a feeling as if the trees are being guided by the wind. With Monet's belief that light and color were equivalent, he was able to create a piece that visually displayed the very existence of nature. Monet's use of darker brushstrokes on the bright pavement presents the illusion that sunlight is pouring through the garden, providing a sense of movement throughout the trees. The way in which the various species of plants are arranged suggests that Monet made an effort towards displaying the weight and heaviness of each plant, creating a sense of how the different leaves moved with the wind. Monet's attempt at creating a walkway suggests a journey down the path leading to his estate at the end of the tunnel filled with shrubs. This movement creates a sense of freedom within the canvas, giving an individual the ability to feel as if they are breathing in time with the piece. Once an individual understands the ways that an artist displays movement within their work, one may want to analyze the efforts made towards creating a unity amongst the various objects presented within their canvas. When an artist creates a piece, there are many elements to consider when attempting to create a scene. In Monet's case, many of his pieces presented extravagant scenes that depicted what he perceived from his surroundings. Nature is filled with balance and unity. Between the various colors and contrasting objects, the outside world creates scenes of stability. An individual viewing any piece may want to see how the artist unified the various objects presented within the work. Balance truly displays the techniques an artist made to bring the entire art piece together, creating a bigger picture. In this particular work created by Monet, he presents many elements that display ideas that go beyond what the eye can see. An individual may want to look at the colors used within each brushstroke to get a sense of the mood of the entire canvas. In a pathway in Monet's garden, Monet presents different colors that balance each other out. The bright petals along the pathway bring out the details of the shaded path, balancing the entirety of the garden. Light plays a crucial part in presenting the ways that Monet unified all the strokes of paint throughout the canvas. One may also want to investigate the way that Monet balanced the outside world against a man-made structure. He uses strokes that go in different directions that overlap each other. The lines of color that represent the plants bring out the dark entryways of his home in the distance. This creates a three-dimensional effect, balancing out the details of nature against a building, which brings the entire canvas together to make a complete scenic painting. An element that plays off how an artist portrays balance within their piece is composition. This technique also presents various elements that unify the entire work as a whole. Composition in art creates different illusions for the intended audience. Artists use this technique to grab the attention of individuals who view their art. They approach their piece by placing different objects in a way that will present the story they are trying to create. Composition helps an individual navigate the different sensations that are visually displayed. This specific element shares contrasting objects as one large configuration. In this particular piece, Monet incorporates composition within the trees and pathway by creating a focal point. This element shares the perspective that was used to inspire individuals to extensively study the work. An individual investigating this piece may want to look at the ways that Monet presented depth by displaying overlapping objects, along with his use of accentuated brushstrokes to display contrasting elements. Within this piece, an individual can see the efforts Monet made towards creating a naturalistic scene by the way he painted his pathway. The pathway starts wider as it narrows to meet the intended steps of the estate in the distance. This use of composition fabricates the realness of the garden. By looking at his position of paint within this piece, it can show an individual the differences throughout the vegetation around his property. He uses smaller dots of paint to create tiny flowers, sitting securely on top of petite lines of paint as stems. Monet uses lengthier strokes to indicate leaves gracefully hanging from their branches. This use of contrasting elements allows an individual to visually compare all of the various details used towards the construction of this piece, helping one connect with Monet's ability to organize specific objects and present them in a way that composes the entire piece together. Another component to take into consideration when viewing an art piece is how an artist incorporates color and light to display contrasting perspectives. Impressionists were extremely influenced by this concept, especially Monet. The use of light and color shares with an individual various aspects of change and feelings throughout the piece. An artist uses contrasting colors to present the emotions they intended for audiences to feel when viewing their work. Light colors bring out the exuberant qualities of the piece, while the darker tones accentuate the somberness details of any depicted scene. In Monet's case, he used color and light to his advantage throughout the entirety of this piece, using contrasting colors to represent the naturalistic world through his own eyes. His perception of light alters the way an individual may look at the scene by enhancing his ability to create a piece that looks realistic in an unnatural way. One can look at the various bright colors Monet includes within his garden piece to get the idea that he used the concept of light and color being equal by creating a harmonious scene of his own interpretation. Within the painting, he includes various bright colors to bring out the details of nature. Vibrant colors, along with luminous shrubbery, stands out against the dark, mysterious entryway of the building at the end of the path, and the various stems and branches that are presented by Monet's use of dark shaded paint. An individual can see his efforts towards incorporating the mirage of light pouring through the trees by simply viewing at the pathway in the painting. The walkway is the focal point of the piece and draws individuals in by the various colors that overlap its shape. This addition of dark colors on top of the path indicate that the sun is being blocked by the shrubbery surrounding it, displaying the perception that the leaves are creating shade for the trail. Monet's use of color and light helps one to visually understand the many elements used to pull together such an intricate landscape of pigments. The last element that an individual may want to take into consideration as they view any piece is the mood presented throughout the entirety of it. Every work that an artist creates tells a story beyond what is perceivable to the eye. An individual truly grasps the motives of why the artist created the piece by carefully using all of the elements presented throughout the entirety of the study to truly put together the mood of the canvas. Mood presents emotions throughout the various techniques an artist uses to spread the initial message of their work to individuals viewing it. The ambiance that is present within any piece creates different emotions for everyone who studies the ways an artist created their art. This particular element is a creative way for individuals to feel involved with the artist's masterpiece due to the various interpretations that one may create. Individuals perceive art differently, making the mood of any piece very drastically different, depending on the feelings one feels when studying an artist's techniques. Mood creates a personal connection between the work and the individual viewing it. In Monet's case, his artistical ways of displaying a lavish section of his garden creates various moods, leaving one to decide the emotions that he intended when creating each brushstroke. There are many techniques that Monet uses throughout this particular piece that set the mood for the canvas. He uses various vibrant colors that create bright feelings of contentment. One can sense a feeling of peacefulness by viewing the way the sunbeams are hitting the path leading to the house, along with the little pops of colors used for different flowers. Monet creates a sense of stillness through his branches by creating blended brushstrokes. An individual viewing this piece can also see that Monet gave purpose to each and every stroke of paint. The way that he softly presents all of the elements throughout the canvas helps one to feel a sense of calmness. It appears that someone may be walking down the path, walking towards the mysterious estate entrance in the distance. On the way, the individual blissfully strolling through the shaded path can take in the beauty of the naturalistic world. Through Monet's colors and placement of objects within the scene, an individual can experience nature in an impressionistic way. Monet carefully displays the idea that the outside world is in fact more interpretive than one may think. With its vibrant colors and specific techniques, Monet created a piece that has captivated individuals' interest since the mid-19th century. Through his use of movement, balance, composition, colors, dark versus light, and mood, Monet was able to capture his extravagant estate in a way that is almost immersive for those who study it. Claude Monet contributed many pieces towards the Impressionistic movement. There is more than meets the eye than what is perceivable on a canvas. Monet wasn't the only one who captured elegant depictions of everyday life, but nonetheless he is credited as one of the founding fathers of such a powerful movement in the history of art. To conclude this presentation, I wanted to share the source that I used that heavily influenced a lot of the aspects that I used during the process of creating this presentation. Thank you so much for watching this, and I truly hope that I have motivated you to study more of Monet's work and to study how the Impressionism movement completely changed art history.